Thank you all for taking some time to be here today. We have a great, very practical webinar for you all, and we are excited to dive into the details. So let me get started with our presenter. As a very quick introduction, my name is Shirley Sweeney, and I am the Director of Digital Marketing here at SurveyCTO, and I will be your moderator for today. Now, our speaker for today is David Granada Donato. David is a principal consultant at Equilibrium BDC, a consulting firm in Latin America. His experience is in impact evaluation and primary data collection, and his role now really focuses on making sure he is leveraging new technologies like AI applications and even things like geospatial analysis to really make sure that his clients are getting the high quality data they need to make good, confident decisions. And really, when David and I were talking about what we wanted to present with you all today, we knew we wanted to focus on AI. There are a lot of workflows and solutions being developed with AI nowadays, but what we really wanted to focus on was sharing how you all can get some really practical takeaways for how you can leverage AI, specifically in the realm of how to use audio audits to build a automated feedback mechanism. So we will share a lot of great details with you today.
Thanks, Shirley, and hello, everyone. I'm really glad to be here today as part of the SurveyCTO webinar series. I've been working in Equilibrium in the last couple of years, just like in projects related with primary collection in Equilibrium. And in Equilibrium, we are a consulting firm that promotes socioeconomic development in Latin America, mainly through projects related with data collection and particularly generating rigorous quantitative and qualitative evidence. Of course, for us, it's really important, the primary data collection, and here is where SurveyCTO has become a pivotal ally for us in providing all the infrastructure to be able to collect data in large scale. Our clients are from different sectors like multilateral banks, NGOs, the academia for different impact evaluation on RCTs, and we work also for the private sector. We provide projects for them. And since we are working many different projects related with data collection, for us it's really important, the data quality, particularly how to offer the quality assurance for large projects on a large scale. We started to leverage on audio recordings to explore some other details on our data collection, and particularly understanding like the nuances of human interaction. No? So we wanted to, for example, understand whether the flow of the interaction was having some implication in data collection, whether it's authentic or it's a bit more robotic. We started to notice that this kind of information were offering us very important insights regarding regarding the quality assurance in our daily projects. But when we started to do that, and most of you may have noticed, like it's very many manual labor in terms that sometimes you hire a supervisor to do all the quality checks, and in this sense, it's very difficult to scale this. So let's take, for example, a project where you have 20 enumerators and each enumerator has to do 15 interviews for 3 weeks. At the end of the day, it's hundreds of hours of audio. And supervisors will only be able to review a random sample of this. And this is how like the gold standard of checking that. But we're starting to ask ourselves, like, what if we could review all our audios and start to flag where the interview is valid or not. And another question we were asking to ourselves is, how can we provide feedback to our enumerators like as fast as possible for them to improve their task and to improve the quality assurance? So at the end, it was not a problem of commitment, let's say. It was more a problem of scale on how to provide the right tools for providing quality assurance to all our registers. And the solution we were thinking about relies on three main tools. The first one is the one that we needed to make automated transcription for translating audios into text. The second one is regarding the quality assessment. How can we contrast this transcript that we have, what we wanted to the enumerators collect? And finally, we wanted to provide feedback in almost real time. I will make a spoiler here. And first, I would like you to have a takeaway. And this is that using AI is not only using the chats that we're used to, like, for example, ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude, like the interface, like the front end is just like the visual tool for make it easy to use. But what I would like you to take from here is that you can connect directly to the models by using the API, and it allows you to make different tools and bring solutions to all your own particular problems in your data collection. Also, that you can do this by your own. Like, there are so many tools that you can do by your own, just like crafting and working with all the tools that are already exist to create your own tool. And this is what we want to do. What we want to show you today is this tool that that creates a flow for bringing feedback to the enumerators regarding their performance on the data collection. So this workflow starts with the enumerator and the respondent working through the survey, collecting the data. And of course, we leverage on SurveyCTO because of the infrastructure they're providing in terms of the capacity that we have here. But also, it has an important feature for us. It's called audio audit that allow us to record every single interview without further work for the enumerator. They don't have to manipulate anything to allow the recording of the audios. It's just something that you configure in the back, and it starts to record everything. And all the audios starts to upload into the server, and we start to consume the data from it. Then we have two ways of consuming the audios. The first one is through the API. SurveyCTO has an API for consuming and for connecting, for you to connect with the server and download the data. But there's another one that is very practical for us, is through the SurveyCTO desktop that allow us to make daily backups really automatically. So it downloads all the audios to the local, to your computer, and you can start to work from it. Once you have downloaded all the data, we use two main tools, AI tools to analyze the data. The first one is called Assembly AI. This is a tool whose main purpose is to transcript audios, and it's very, very useful because it has a multi-language support. And it's very useful in context. For example, for Spanish, is really the quality of transcription is really good, and it has some capabilities also for other languages as well. And what we like a lot about Assembly AI is that it has a tool called speaker diarization, which means that you can distinguish enumerator from respondent, in the sense that in the transcript, you will notice who is person A, who is person B, and you will notice who is speaking and what each person is saying. It's not just a transcription without identifying the person. And the other tool we use for doing that, for analyzing the transcripts, is Gemini. We connect to the Gemini API for two main purposes. The first one, we want to contrast the transcript that we got from Assembly AI, and we compare it with the collection instrument that we upload to SurveyCTO. And what we want to do is to analyze whether the transcript corresponds to the flow of the instruments, whether the questions are being asked in the right order, whether they are just reading through every single question or they are paraphrasing. And after that, we create a first data quality database, let's say, where it shows us some flags regarding every single audio, and it shows us some alerts regarding whether the data the enumerators were collecting was suspicious, or it was like a genuine, or sometimes it got falsified. And the second use we have for Gemini API is particularly for creating the personalized feedback that we are going to send to the enumerators. we have been working through two main sources, two main ways of sending the messages. The first one is Gmail, because it's easy for scale and easy to configure. And the other one is through WhatsApp, which is easier for the enumerator to read the feedback, but sometimes it's a bit more difficult to configure. So, but at the end of the day, the important thing is that the enumerators are receiving their feedback regarding their performance of their previous work, and it will bring them like some new information about how to improve their work. And I know this is a bit too much information, so the next thing I would like to show you is how this works in practice. I will show you how a workflow works in real life, let's say in real time. So this audio audit app has different tabs that you can different tabs that you will see here at the beginning. And sorry, this is an app that is developed in Spanish, but you as I have talked, we work mainly in Latin America. We hope to develop this in English for further projects. But I will guide you through the whole app. It has different apps. The first one is regarding the settings of the audio audit, where you can paste the API keys I was talking about. The first one is the API key for Assembly AI. This is the key that allows you to connect directly to their servers and to their models. And the other one is the Google Gemini key that allows to connect to their server, to the models of Gemini. Here you have the ability to select the model that you might use. In this case, we are working with Gemini 2.0 Flash, because it's cheaper to use, and the tasks that we are asking for don't require reasoning, but just contrasting. So for us, it's actually like the performance of this model is good enough for what we have to do. Here, what I'm asking, what we have to upload is the master data set that you download directly from SurveyCTO. I will show you how the master looks like. It's like this one, exactly this one, where you have the submission date, start time, end time, etc. And for us, the most important thing is like this key, because this is the key where we are going that we are going to use to standardize all the audios. And this is actually the next step. And here you have the option to configure some settings of your email to send the feedback massively. I'm not going to configure this in this case, but you just paste your email here, and you have to create a specific password for sending this. It's not the normal password where you log in. It's another password that you have to create. But yeah, I'm not going to stop there. The next step is regarding renaming audios, and as I said, we wanted to standardize audio names with the key of the survey, and we want that because we want to correlate each audio to each survey, and then trying to understand which audio corresponds to each enumerator. This is the main purpose for this. For doing that, what you need to do is just putting the folder where you have all your audios. I put it here just before this session started. And here it will show you some ideas on how you want to rename those files. Here it says analyze and review all those changes. And here it doesn't show it here, but here it shows the actual name and the new name. But in this case, I already renamed it. It doesn't show like how it will rename, but that's the main use of this, like trying to rename just in the same format as the ID keys that SurveyCTO provides. The next tab is regarding the transcriptions. So here again, I paste the folder where all the audios are, and here I put also the folder where I want all my transcripts go out, like the output folder. And as you can see, for example, here it says that I have almost 400 audios remaining for transcription. So what we wanted to do, let's say it has memory on which transcriptions were already done, because we didn't want to double process every single audio time that we run this app. So when you click on transcribe, it will transcribe all the audios that are remaining. To be honest, it takes a while. For these 400 audios, it took like 3 hours. So this is something that we have to take into account when we started to do this. But of course, if you do it in a daily basis, it will be a less registers to process. And I would like to show you how these transcriptions look like, because this is exactly what we wanted to. Here I already transcribed all the 400 plus transcriptions. But what I wanted to show you is precisely this. When in the transcription it says person A, person B, person A, person B, and in this case we already the AI can infer that person I is the enumerator and person B is the respondent. So this is what we really like about Assembly AI. Once the transcription is done, we can proceed to audit this information. And for audit this information, we start again pasting the folder where all the transcriptions are, the one I showed you before, this one, because it will process each single txt that I uploaded here. And I will paste the folder here of the results here in this part. And an important part is that I have to drag here the ODK instrument. I don't know if you have worked previously like with SurveyCTO, the ODK, like in the back of the SurveyCTO web, you can program the instrument in this way, where you can program the type of the question, the name of the question, the label, the hint, and this is the main input that we provide to the AI for be compared to compare the transcripts with the flow that we are providing here in the instrument. So this is the file that I uploaded here. And since I told you we wanted to create a general purpose app and that it's useful for every project, so we decided to add here some windows for providing extra information regarding the project and regarding the details of the field. The details of the project are important because it will give enough information to the AI on what indicators are we using and how it should process the information. And the details of the field is also really important because it will affect, for example, the quality of the audio. Here I translated for you, just for you to have an idea. In this case, we were evaluating the impact of a program and strengthening entrepreneurship and promoting savings among the Venezuelan migrant population and vulnerable Colombian households. So I paste this description, the objective description here as a context for the prompt. Here I paste it here, and then the details, the description of field. Data collection is conducted via phone. The enumerator is expected to fill out the questionnaire on a tablet while conducting the call on a speakerphone with the respondents from the list using the same tablet as recording device. So this is the kind of information that we want to bring to give to the AI for it to consider all the information and make the evaluation in a good way. And for example, here in field considerations, this is something that we sometimes do. Given that the recording is made from the tablet and the call is made from a cell phone on speakerphone, it is possible that in some cases only enumerator's voice will be heard really clearly. This situation is expected and does not compromise the validity of the survey. So we are saying already that the fact that we only hear the voice of the enumerator is not a problem, because there are some fields that it's only feasible to record the voice of the enumerator. And particularly like in fields that are in presence, it's difficult, like for example, to the tablet and on front of the respondent, and sometimes capturing the data, the voice of the respondent. And once we do this, we start the audit. I'm not going to run this because for the 400 it will take like another 2 hours more or less. So as you can see, it's easier to manipulate, but in a large scale, it will take a bit longer, but still, like in total for the 400 audios, it's like 6 hours, let's say. And the final output for this looks like this part here. Let me show you this one. And this is the final database, the final output that this audio audit brings. Here we have the survey ID anonymized, and we have the verdict of whether the survey is classified as genuine, suspicious, or falsified. Here we have a level of confidence of this verdict. It assesses also the quality of the audio. It's regarding the transcription of course. It has well, it gives some points to open the box on how this verdict was constructed, and it shows here, for example, some red flags and some positive feedback regarding each survey. So, for example, let's check this suspicious survey. It says here that the red flags, sorry, it's in Spanish, but what it says is that the incomes and the expenditures are not related. It's difficult, in general, it's difficult to obtain a good quality on information regarding incomes and expenditures, so please review. And this one that it's falsified, the red flag says that the questions don't correspond with the instrument that we provide in the previous part. So this is for us really like a game changer, in the sense that we don't have to review every single audio audit, but we already have a main idea on which surveys are generating inconsistencies and where, and we can check those surveys and flag them as valid or not. So yeah, this is the output of the audit, and then we have the tab for the weekly. In this project we are working in weekly feedback, because we notice that it's a bit overwhelming also for enumerators to receive feedback every single day. So we prefer to just wait for have a decent amount of surveys to process at one single time and send one single feedback. And the idea of this is, again, just we are going to upload the file I showed you before with the genuine and falsified questions. I'm going to upload again the master data set, the one that you download from SurveyCTO. And here you just paste the folder where you have all your transcriptions, all the TXT I showed you before, and also the output, the folder output. Here I have some configurations. These two keys are the name of the keys in each one of the files I uploaded here. And what I want to do is that it merges inside. And the idea behind this is that you merge this file here that we created with the main SurveyCTO file to associate each audio to each enumerator, and it does it in the background. And here I select the column where I have the information about the email. And I do this because what I want to do is to send an email for each enumerator through their mail. So once you select this, and here you have the option for filtering dates, but here I'm going to process all the audios. And once you click on process and pre-visualize data, it will shows you the next step. So this list is the list of all the emails of all our enumerators. And we are going, and it shows all the surveys of each enumerator. So when we click, for example, here, it will upload and it will understand which surveys correspond to each enumerator. And here we're going to generate the draft on what we are going to send to the mail. And here it shows the draft of the mail that we are going to send to the enumerator for providing feedback. Here just an introduction. I'd like you to share our feedback regarding the 16 surveys that you've been doing from the beginning to the end. It says that you're doing well in general terms. However, we have identified some some issues where you can work with. For example, something that we wanted to evaluate is how natural are they reading the survey, and because we don't want them necessarily to read exactly like word by word every single question, but make it like in a more natural way. And this is something that we provide here in the feedback. So please make it a bit more natural, like it was a conversation. It gives you, it gives here, for example, the label of the survey. You can modify this label using the name. And it says and it gives precise examples on when they should perform better. For the feedback, we wanted not the feedback to be like just something abstract, but we wanted to give precise information on where they are performing well, and when they can improve their jobs. And at the end, it's a firewall. You can generate all the feedbacks in TXT format, which is what I will show you here. Recommendations, and here you might see all the feedbacks for all the enumerators, and those are the feedbacks that we will send automatically through Gmail in this case by clicking here on clicking on send real emails. I'm not going to click here because otherwise I'm going to send the feedback right now, but this is like the main idea of how this tool works. I'm not going to stop here that much. I just want you to give you some information that we use this workflow on the other use case on an initiative on remote tutoring in Paraguay. So we started to use this workflow not only as a quality assurance, but as an implementation in a project where tutors were calling students provide to improve their learning through telephone through phone calls. So we implemented the same workflow here where all the sessions were recording, were processing through the transcription, and we sent the feedback to the tutors. And the idea behind this feedback is for them to improve their learning abilities with the students. I'm not going to stop here because we actually published a case study, which we'll send to you all, and you're pretty welcome to read it. And this is another use case that we use for the report. I just wanted to finish here with some implications regarding this pilot. For us, it has, as I said, it was a game changer because it allows us to increase the coverage on our reviews. We stopped doing just like audio audits for a small sample of audios, and we started to do it massively and raise alerts to every single audio. It has amazing results on quality control of our data collections. It's something that's pretty scalable, and that's why we create this app in a general purpose. It allows us to work on different projects with different prompts, different databases structures. So it's pretty adaptable to different projects. It reduces the time of the supervisor reviewing every single audio, and we just provide this final database to them for them to double click on those interviews that raise some flags. Of course, it's much more cost efficient than having a person just listening the audios. And it leads at the end of a larger quality control and cleaner data sets at the end of our data processing. For example, in the case I was showing, like the red flag that it was rising was regarding difference between incomes and outcomes, and it will lead to a cleaner database on time and cleaner analysis also.
I wanted to quickly add before we got to the closing is I fully appreciate how you're able to build this pretty integrated data pipeline from data collection in SurveyCTO, and then the audio transcriptions using Assembly AI, and then analysis using Gemini and kind of feeding it into other tools. So I am also recognizing the fact that this kind of automation has only been recently achievable with Gen AI, but it seems like the possibilities that these new technologies unlock is fairly endless. It's very promising to see. So thank you for sharing all of that today.
Yeah, like for my final works, is as I said in the beginning, it's actually like Gen AI has opened a world of possibilities. I particularly am not a developer, but with the use of Gen AI, I was able to create this app from scratch. I mean, it took some time, but you don't have to know everything, the foundations of this to start to do your own apps. But what my main advice is to think about a need that you have on your organizations and start to pivot with the AI on how to you can solve this and create your own AI applications.